I'm Allie, and this is James, and this is Nat. And we've sort of been the main people working on it. Well, it is Nat's film, and we are his assistants. So, first thing that we do when we're making this, Nat wrote an excellent script. He really has an ear for the tone. They're based on a series of books, but everything about this particular story was Nat's idea. Nat loves outer space, so it made sense that he wanted to take them into outer space. So once Nat had a script and a storyboard, we needed to figure out how to film it. We made all the pieces on the laser cutter, and we will show you after this how the laser cutter works. These are some of the pieces that we made. You can see them all in the film. Once we had all of that, we had to figure out how to film each little part. And one of the hardest things was, although Nat is really, really good when he knows what he's doing, to really stay focused, be creative, go through the sequence. He knows what he wants to do, although he can't always explain it. But it's really hard if it's not quite clear how to make a plan. It's quite hard to self-regulate and keep focused when it's sort of an unclear process. And also, we're trying to explain what we have in our head, and he tries to take that and make it into a mental image, and then he tries to tell us what he has in his head, and that's all really difficult. So we were trying to figure out, how can we make this easier? How can we let Nat do this more independently, because we know that he can do it more independently. So we ended up making a sort of worksheet. This is an example. This is when they walk to the crater and the large 21 appears and walks from behind the hill. So first we write down the section from the script, and he records it. And then we have sort of a series of questions that Nat can answer on his own, which include, what is basically happening in this scene, what pieces do we need, what's the background, what sound effects do we have to find, and then specifically breaking down exactly what is moving, and for how many seconds and how many frames. So first the lunar rover arrives, when it stops, that takes
48 frames,
yeah, that's
4 seconds. And
then the 28 appears, and that's about 2 seconds, 24 frames, although we will do it just 12 to make it fast. So then we have an exact plan, and then he can film it totally on his own. And you might have noticed during the film, it tends to get a bit smoother as it goes on. We sort of work out how to make all this happen, because actually stop motion to get it smooth is really, really hard, as we discovered. And we did 12 frames a second, which is quite tedious, quite a lot of work, but still less than like a professional film would do, more like 30 frames a second. We were like, 12, good enough. Not as very good at the, it's good enough. Let's move on. Okay, so on that screen, you can see what's on the iPad screen, because it's hard to see over here. And this is the multiplane. There's multiple levels. On the bottom level, you have the lunar rover, and then above them are several of the alphabet letters. If we wanted them smaller, we could put them lower down, so we don't have to cut out several different sizes. And then there's a 21, but it's hidden behind a green piece of paper, so through the green screen you can't see it. That's because we want the 21 to seem to come from behind the hill. Yeah, there you go, you can kind of see it. It's kind of the ghost of it, because this is showing you the previous frame. Let's get this
Know each other.
correctly done here. Wait. You keep having it in exactly the right spot, and then showing you what's happening, and then it gets off the right spot. Okay. So now, as do 6 frames up the newspaper, and then 6 frames down. Can you do that? So you can see once the 21 comes up here, you just get the first tip, take a picture, move them just a little bit, and you can see the ghost of the old frame, so you can tell just how far you've moved it, or if you accidentally knock something out of position, you can get it back in position. That happens a lot. We certainly came up with, you have a plan of how you want to film, but then when you're actually trying to do it, things always work out differently. So now Nat takes the green paper away, so that now the 21 can seem to come down on the other side of the hill. got one more after that. Okay, so now you can play this, and this is faster than we actually did it, but
I used to.
so you can see really how many frames you need to do for a short clip. Okay, then we would import this to the iMac, and sorry, Dave, if you could maybe move this way. We're going to use this screen.
We don't need that.
Yeah, we don't need this anymore, so go ahead and block it. Take a seat now.
Just the computer.
Yeah, and I'm going to block off the video. And mute this for a sec. Here, go ahead and sit down all the way up here.
For many years, they have.
Okay, so we would start with just the music and the voiceover, so it would be like this.
A tiptoe sound came to them. A gigantic number 20.
And then we would add in what we just filmed and sound effects. And it can take a while to get everything exactly right with the timing. So go ahead and play it again. Then we'll, First we're going to play it a little bit.
A gigantic number 21 appeared.
Now you can see all that yellow stuff looks really nasty. That came from, this is a green screen of what we showed you, but because we have a lot of green pieces, what we actually did was a yellow screen. But sometimes the yellow showed through and looked really ugly. So we would have to reshoot this, except we can get rid of it in post-production and spare ourselves the trouble of having to reshoot the whole thing, which takes forever. So first we make what's called an adjustment layer for the top, and that goes over all the frames. And let's do first the one that just makes all of the yellow gray. It's a big top adjustment layer. So the one on there. Okay, so he's going to add an effect called Lumetri Color. And go to Curves. He's basically going to tell it, take all the yellow in this picture and make it gray instead. And then it'll blend in a lot better to the background. So he makes 4 little dots and then kind of drags down on that part of the color wheel. Still looks kind of ugly. This is better, but there's still some ugliness. So we're going to do another layer, add in the Lumetri Color effect again, and he's going to make a mask that covers the sky.
How are you? I know.
Good. It's been a long
It's
time.
been a long time. Yeah, since you did my lecture series.
That's right.
Yeah, you still doing research? Yeah.
Yeah. He's here.
And then he's going to turn the exposure all the way down. This is easy because it's just a black sky, so we don't need to worry about it. It's under basic correction. And there's lots more editing things that we have learned, but these are just 2 of the main ones that we used. And so that's been learning a lot of tools. And
Anything else you want to add?
now, is there anything else you want to say?
No.
Excellent. All right, well, thank you, Nat.
Thank you, now. Thank you.